Hara Omatosho with another episode of Inspired into Action. Today, I am speaking with LaTanya Sothern. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking.
That's great. LaTanya is here to talk about her business and her book. LaTanya, could you tell us more about who you are and your business?
Yes, my name is LaTanya Sothern. I am an educator. I've been an educator for over 20 years. And I'm also an advocate, an educational advocate. The name of my business is Southern Education Solutions. And I do advocacy work for children with special needs, children who have IEPs or need IEPs or 504 plans, and just kind of work with parents of kids who think their children may need some extra support in the school system. So I work for the students and I partner with the parents to get students what they need. And I also wrote a book. The title of my book is called The Birth of an Advocate. And it's really about my journey into being an advocacy after my oldest son was born and the different steps that we took to start being the voice for him, because he was an infant at the time. He didn't really have a voice. So I have really had to learn how to speak up and really fight for him if I needed to, despite my natural inclinations to not be a fighter. And then the second part of the book is about when you're in a situation where you have to care for a loved one all of a sudden with no warning, how you can manage the different areas of your life. How do you manage your life financially? How do you manage resources? How do you manage support? How do you manage relationships? That's all in the second part of the book. So that's what the book is about. It's a story of encouragement. And then on the other side, it's really a how-to of how you can, when you're thrust into this life of caregiving, whether it's for a child or for a parent, a spouse, or whoever, how you can manage the different areas of your life and learn to be the voice for that person you're taking care of as well.
Wow, that's really good. So this can apply to people who care for their children or people who maybe are caring for their parents?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Great. That's really great. LaTanya, so you talked about your son. Is that what inspired you to start your business?
Yes, it is. Actually, my son is 12 years old now. When he was younger, we got to a point in his education where we really needed someone to be an advocate for him, because even though I'm an educator, it's difficult to be the parent and the educator and have to put on the hat of educator and then take that hat off and put on the hat of mom, with the flipping of the hats back and forth. It was too much. And I started to be an emotional mess. And so because I was an emotional mess, I wasn't able to successfully or sufficiently advocate for him the way that I thought that I should. And additionally, there were still some things about special education that I just did not know. So my husband and I decided that we really needed to find someone who was well-versed in the field of special education and who could come in and speak for him and for us. And she did such an excellent job and we love her so much. But what we found was that she took a little bite out of our pockets, but we did what we felt like we had to do to get the best for our son. But at the same time, when I look at other children who may be in the special education system, their parents may not be able to afford what we had to pay to get her to work with them. So now I'm coming in as an alternative. I can still get you what you need, but you may not necessarily have to pay what you had to pay her, but still get the same level of services. So that's kind of where I am. And I think we love her. She was a little tiny Jewish woman. We loved her, but we thought that it would be great if some parents had an advocate that looked like them. And they were a little, that they could be a little bit more familiar with. And when I talked with her about it, I sat down and said, I'm really interested in getting to this field. She said, LaTanya, there are some people that you're going to be able to reach that I can't reach just because you're in more of a closer situation as they are. And she's a parent of a special needs child as well. But it's reality. Some people may not necessarily be drawn to her, you know, whether that's good or bad. A lot of times
Right,
people
right.
are more familiar with someone who looks more like them.
Yes.
So that's kind of the niche I'm trying to fill at this point.
All right, great. What would you say some of the challenges that you've ran into, and how have you managed to overcome those challenges
It's been a
in
learning curve.
regards to your business?
Yeah, it's been a learning curve. I did start my business back in 2013 and
Mhm.
really kind of digging up the information and finding out what I needed to become incorporated within the state, because I live in the state of Maryland. So finding that information out and not having someone who was in a similar type of situation that I could kind of model myself from,
Mhm.
really knowing how to set things up and how to be organized. As time has progressed, things have become easier because now I know, you know, what certain things are that I should do to have my finances in order. We
Mhm.
found a good tax person who
Right.
can help us get the best out of our income tax deductions as far as our business expenses are concerned. So it took us a while. It took me a while to get to this point and really just building a foundation. I think
Mhm.
starting off on the ground, as long as you build your foundation in the beginning, it may not seem that you're turning over a profit. It may not seem that you're getting very far, but I think as long as your foundation is good, when you continue to build and you become more successful and you stay consistent and you stay at it, then as things get better and they grow, because your foundation is solid, then your business model will be solid throughout, you know, from the top to the bottom. Um,
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that.
I think people, you know, when they get started with business, a lot of times they want to get started and take off and just be successful all of a sudden. And that's good. And that happens with some people. But for most of us, we really have to spend time laying the foundation, finding out what works for us, finding out what doesn't work for us. And so I've spent that time doing it. I'm kind of really still in that, not as much as I was when I first started, but I'm still kind of in that mode of finding out what works, finding out what doesn't work, and building my business because I want it to last for
Yeah.
the rest of my life.
Yeah, and that's really interesting you say that. A lot of people that are successful in their business, they'll tell you that it takes perseverance. You
Yes.
have to. Did you have a coach or anybody that assisted you in the early parts of maybe setting up your business? How important do you think maybe having a coach is,
I
if you
think
have one?
I think having a coach is very, I was gonna say, is very vital. I did not have a coach. I still technically don't. I do have some friends that are in the business that I get ideas from, that I may
Mhm.
bounce some ideas off of here and there, but I don't right now have someone that I'm working directly with. But it I think having someone who's had the experience and being able to work alongside with them, having a mentor or a coach, whatever that looks like, I think is
Mhm.
always beneficial in any situation in your business and in your personal life, because it gives you a pattern
Right.
and how to model yourself. You don't necessarily have to do things exactly the way that that person did it, but it gives you some idea of which direction to go. That's one thing. The other thing is, if you're really honest and you allow yourself to be open and accountable to that person, that is a big help too, because everybody needs an accountability partner. So having
Yes,
someone who is already a couple of steps ahead of you is
it's
good,
important.
because you have to be able to allow that person to speak into your life and tell you some of the things that you're doing correctly and you're on the right track, and some of the things that you need to kind of veer to the left and go another direction.
Right.
I think having that type of person is there for you. I don't have that person right now, but I think that that person is important.
That's great. Yeah. So, what are some three things or four things, some skills that you can share that you think are important as entrepreneur or an entrepreneur should have?
So one of the things I think an entrepreneur should be able to do is research. You have to be a person that is able to do your own research and to be able to be willing to do some research. A lot of times people have questions and they want information, but they want to ask someone else, or they don't necessarily want to dig. I'm the kind of person, when I was a child, we had these big, thick things called encyclopedias. And so I had the World Book Encyclopedia from letter A
I did too.
all
I
the
did
way
too.
to letter Z. I had the whole set. And I used to read the encyclopedia like it was a book. I don't know why I did, but I was just really, really interested in the information. And if I didn't know something, if a teacher said, hey, I need you to do a book report, I need you to do a report on the country of Panama, I knew I could go to my encyclopedia and get all of the information that I need. Well, now here in 2015, 2016, wow, it's a whole year. In 2016, now we have the internet. Google is like my best friend. So a lot of times, even at my day job, when we don't know something, we don't have information for it, I will go and Google it. Everything that you need to know is on the internet. When we were in the process, my mom assisted me with my book launch, and neither one of us had ever done a book launch before. She Googled every single solitary step, everything that needed to be done, so that we would know, okay, we like these ideas, we don't like this idea. Let's kind of tool this around, and we were able to have a really successful book launch with my book. But that wasn't something that someone else told us. That was information that we just dug for ourselves. So I definitely think the entrepreneur needs to be able to have good research skills. An entrepreneur also has to be very, very organized and focused. I guess I want to say that together. Now, that is difficult for me because I think that I have challenges with organization and attention myself. So I've had to implement certain steps in my everyday life to make sure that what I need to get done, I can get done. Even though I have issues with attention, I'm very goal driven and I'm very goal oriented. So what I will do is I will make a list. You have to know what works for you. This is what works for me. It may not work for someone else. I will make a list if I know that I have a lot of deadlines and a lot of things on my plate. These are all of the things I need to get done today. And I'll go through my list. I'll say, yes, I did this, and scratch things out as I'm going throughout the day. Or if something needs to be moved to the next day, I can move it to the next day. If I need to address it before the end of the day, I can address it. So even though I consider myself to have issues with attention and organization, I found a method that works for me so that I can still be organized. There are lots of different types of software. There's a software program out there called Asana. And if you're working on a specific project, you can put dates and things into your projects. It can be shared by a group. That's another way to keep yourself organized. I have a Google Calendar, and my husband, my sons, and I have 4 different schedules, 4 different people with 4 different schedules. And so we all need a way to be able to have a centralized location so that we can get information. My order is definitely important. And then just the last thing is being able to relate to people. Being able to talk to people, being able to negotiate, being able to have good customer service, being able to look people in the eye and really find out what they need and what they want and give them what it is, whether you're providing a service or a good. I think that is really important in a business, and making sure that your product is quality. But that's all a part of relationships, because if you can put yourself in the other person's shoes and you imagine yourself trying to acquire the thing that you're selling or the thing that you're giving away, you're going to want to make sure that you give them the best kind of product or quality or service that you can possibly give them. So I think relationships are very, very important, and the ability to cultivate and maintain relationships are very important when it comes to business.
are 3 action steps or some action steps that you can suggest to someone who maybe they're interested in, because you've written a book and you started a business. So could you share some action steps on what they should do to start going now? What are some things they can start after they hear this interview? They can start tomorrow doing these action steps.
Well, the first thing they need to do is write the vision. They need to think about what it is that they want to do and what the ultimate goal looks like, and actually write that down and put that in front of them. Write it down. You can put it, you can type it up in nice, pretty font if you want. If you're visual and you like something like that, put it on your refrigerator. Because actually writing things down is so powerful, because when you go from just having things in your head to putting either pen to paper or typing and getting those things on a document, that's transferring things from what's in your mind to, it's transferring things from what's in the thought realm to actually what's in reality. Because once it's on paper, it's a real thing. The actual thing that you want to do may not necessarily be there, but you can touch the paper that you wrote that thing on. So now you transferred it from being in your head to actually being outside your body. So once you bring it into the earth and you really give birth to it, that's when you can really start moving towards it, and be as detailed as possible. If you think that you know exactly what you want to do, say if your business is you want to start a cupcake business, not necessarily me, but if you want to start a cupcake business, you know what you want to name it, you know what the colors are going to look like, you know where you want to have it, what the address is. You need to take that, all of that from out of your mind and put it on paper. That would be the first thing that I would say as an action step. Second action step is what I talked about before, doing some research and really finding out other businesses who are like the one that you have, and finding what their success stories are, what are some challenges they had. Not to say that your experience will be exactly the same as theirs, but at least if you have an idea of what some common areas are, you'll know what things to move towards and what things to avoid. You want to avoid common mistakes that other people who've gone in your arena have had to go through, but you do want to duplicate common successes. So whatever it is that you see that they're doing, and if you see different people doing the same thing, you definitely want to do those things, those businesses that are where you want your business to be. And then I would think the third thing would be to link up with 1 or 2 people, not a lot, but 1 or 2 people that you think could either help you move towards your goal because they have already moved that way, or you know that that person has some specific insight on business or professionalism in general. They may not necessarily be doing that thing that you want them, that you want to be able to do, but you know by looking at that person's life and by seeing their fruit and seeing the different things that they have, that they're successful in some type of way. So finding out what it is that some of the key qualities or characteristics of that person that you can extract from them and apply to your own life, that would be a great stepping stone as well. Those are good ways to kind of get started on a journey towards starting your own business.
That last piece that you talked about, that person can help you, keep you accountable to doing what you say that you're going to do, and maybe also you guys can work on some goals, or and really set these plans that you wrote down into action. I think that's great advice. LaTanya, if people want to get in contact with you, how can they reach you?
Well, I have different ways that you can contact me. You can email me. My email address is Southern Education. That's SOTHERN Education, all one word, EDUCATION @gmail.com. That's one way you can get in contact with me. Also on Facebook, you can look me up under LaTanya Sothern. First name is LaTanya Sothern, Sothern, LaTanya Sothern, child advocate and author. That's my Facebook fan page. And I'm on Twitter and Instagram as Southern Solution with no S. Southern Solution at Southern Solution is the handle. And then my website is www.southernsolutions with an S.com. So that's www.sothern.solutions.com. And that has more information about my business and more information about my books. There's a gallery there from my book signing. We're going to talk about some upcoming dates that are going to be happening as well. And there's a contact form, so people can go directly to the contact form and fill out the information. I will respond to them within 48 hours.
All right, great. And do you have a price list on there and some of the services that you provide as well? So, or did they just have to email you for that?
Yes, they email me because the services that are going to be, the prices are going to be tailored towards what the person needs. So there's a menu that people can kind of pick, you know, which direction they want to go. And that's going to be based on what the needs are. And then if you want to purchase the book, also, I have a copy of the book. This is the book.
Show us.
It's called The Birth of an Advocate, How I Learned How My Son Helped Me Find My Voice. That is not the title. How My Son Helped Me Find My Voice. If you want to purchase the book, you can purchase it on my website, and you can also purchase it on Amazon.com.
Great. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Also,